breathing actually helps. So for example, if I'm doing a hamstring stretch and I'm in that position, let's just say I'm not very flexible and I'm maybe like up here in that position. You inhale, and as you exhale, you breathe into the stretch. You slowly press into it.
Find the thing that drives you. Follow your passion and don't stop until you get it. Hustle and stay fit.
All right, welcome Hustle and Fit family. I have another good one. This is the interview series where we talk to experts, professionals who are basically doing great things in the world in terms of fitness and their lives. And basically we're just talking to these experts to see how we can get better in what we're doing. Today I have a special guest, Kayla Ross-Jackson. She's a professional dancer, dance teacher, fitness instructor, and model. She's doing like everything. I don't even know how you speak. She really understands the dynamics of being able to create an aesthetically pleasing body, but at the same time maintain, functional movement. So if you're someone who's been trying to increase your power as well as flexibility, then you really need to listen to this interview because Kayla Ross has the inside tip. Kayla, how are you doing today?
Very good. And yourself?
Doing good, doing good. All things considered, making the best out of an interesting situation.
Oh, very yeah.
So how has everything been going with you, like in terms of what you're dealing with right now with the pandemic and all that?
Well, like obviously, COVID has definitely restricted me from doing a lot of things I normally be doing. Like as of now, I'm kind of forced to work out at home. All of my classes are on hold just temporarily, and so what I've been trying to do is kind of create a personal space for myself at home where I can still maintain my workout.
How did you get into all of this, like the dancing, the fitness show? How did you get into that whole world?
All right, so definitely dance is my primary area of expertise. Started out back when I was like only 3 years old, actually.
Wow.
And it started out as just a hobby, really. And the more I did it, the more I thought into it as like a professional area I wanted like to have an actual career in when I grew up. I started out doing a lot of examinations in ballet with the Royal Academy of Dance,
Wow.
and I just took off from there. I got into different others. I got into other styles, contemporary, jazz, all of that. I even went to School of the Arts here in Toronto, and yeah, I just took off from there. I admit I wasn't always the best teacher because I was a little bit shy growing up when I was younger. But I think I just took some like self-reflecting and like really getting to know myself and like self-awareness, I guess. And slowly my confidence started to build up, and I started being a teacher's assistant. From there, I was teaching classes full time, primarily ballet, and I was also doing some competitive dancing on the side as well. It was about when I hit maybe 18, 19 years old, I got into fitness because my dance career was kind of coming not to an end, but slowing down a bit because of like my studies and stuff. That's when I got into fitness and more so working out for myself.
Mm.
And then I remember coming across one of my friends who was an employee at the gym I went to. She was like, we should look into teaching fitness like professionally, like maybe like personal training or like group fitness classes. And again, I was hesitant because I was like, I don't know if it's something I want to do. I'm kind of just focusing on me right now. Not really sure. I started volunteering in her classes. So like she would teach a few songs or whatever, and I would maybe do two or three here and there. And I was getting a lot of good feedback from the crowd. And I was like, hey, this is actually something I can see myself doing. And it just rocketed, like skyrocketed from there. I started teaching one class a week, two classes, started doing different types of fitness. So my one class that I predominantly teach is like a cardio dance.
Mm.
So it's fitness based and it's dance based. But I think what a lot of people like about it is that they don't realize they're working out. So like, because working out sometimes is it's like a chore, and we're kind of forcing ourselves to do it. And people, I guess, are not as motivated to work out because of that reason. So they come to this class, they're sweating off, like they're sweating it off and everything, but they're having a good time doing it. So it doesn't really feel like a chore. It's something that's fun, becomes a part of their everyday life. And yeah, that's one of the things I try to motivate through all the classes I teach. So there's that class, and I also got into other areas. I wanted to broaden, I guess, my skills and just broaden everything else in terms of what I can teach. So I started teaching cardio-based classes, so anything aerobic style, more muscular endurance classes, so like boot camp, as well as even yoga and Pilates as well, and cycle fit. So pretty much teach everything.
Wow, wow, you
Yeah,
have the whole gamut. Okay,
yeah.
so now this is kind of interesting. So what would you say are your like top fitness tips for people to get like that ultimate physique?
Top fitness tips. I think the number one thing in my eyes, like for me personally, I think it's helped other people, is try not to look at fitness as something that you have to do. Trying to make it rather a lifestyle change. It's like we have a set schedule of things that we do on a day. You know, we go to work, we come home, we eat, we do this. I feel like they need to learn how to make working out into a more enjoyable thing because then that way it's easier to do. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but like you know,
No, no, it makes sense. It
yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
So that's
It's
I guess that's one thing. And always taking the time, even like 30 minutes to an hour, squeezing that in somewhere instead of making up excuses each and every day. Like, you know, I have work, I have this, I don't have time. Just like even 15 minutes, like just exercise, do something you love. Make sure it's something you love to do, not something that's like, oh, great, you have to work out now.
squeeze in
Yeah.
this extra thing and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Like there's different forms of exercise. Like I have a friend that loves swimming, so she does that like 3 times a week. She'll have a pool and just do like laps. Like I love dancing, so that's where I get my physical exercise. A lot of times during the week, I'm in the studio and I'm just working on choreography with my friends, and we're having a great time. But you don't realize like I'm working out my body. Like that's how I'm staying in shape because I have fun with it. People need to learn how to have fun with it. I think that's the
Hmm.
key. Yeah.
That's some good advice.
Mhm.
Actually, since I have you, because I've noticed dancers have great flexibility and range of motion.
Yeah.
I've tried a couple times and I realized that. And the one thing I came across, I realized was that working out with my trainer, I also learned that if I want to avoid injury, I have to increase range, my flexibility and stuff like
Yeah.
that. What are your tips in terms of really getting more, range of motion and being able to increase my flexibility since, having the background that you have?
It's a good question because it goes hand in hand with my dancing. Um, a lot of people will say flexibility isn't everything. It isn't the most impressive thing, but I don't think that's the main. That's I don't think that's the right way to look at it. Flexibility is important, as you said, because you need to have a wide range of movement in your body, and it keeps you from getting injured. Right? It prevents injuries. So that's another thing too. Me personally, as a dancer, I do stretch every day just to maintain that. I am also a lot taller, so there's a lot more room to stretch. So I have to, yeah, I have to maintain that. Like once I got down in splits, because it took me longer to get down in splits than the average dancer, and when I finally got down, it was like not, I don't want to say exhausting, but I was constantly every single day stretching here and there to maintain that. So a lot of people will work out, and I see that they just don't stretch. You just like they go to the gym, they work out, and then they leave, which is so bad for you because you
Mm.
can get injuries, and you have to learn how to warm up and cool down the muscles. That being said, I have had clients that are like, I want to stretch, I want to get more flexible, but I don't know how. I don't know where to start. I'm at like a beginner level. I don't understand the like concept of like where I should be stretching, etc. So I always encourage them to seek out like yoga classes, and they have quite a range of different types of yoga classes, ranging from beginner all the way to intermediate. A lot of people get intimidated by yoga. They see like some crazy poses, and they're like, "Oh, I can't do that." Like what? But yeah, even in my classes, I teach from beginner to intermediate level, and they'll see some things and they're like, "Oh, I'm not even gonna try." But I always, when I teach, try to show a more modified version of the stretch. So they can do a lot of basic stretches that they can do in yoga classes. Pilates as well is a combination of stretching and core workouts as well.
Mm.
So there's stuff that they can do in classes, but there's also things that they can do at home. Simple stretches for like the hip flexors, the hamstrings, the abductors, the whole body, really. That would be my
Awesome.
advice to them. Yeah.
Yeah, how long would you say, like, like let's say you're doing a position, how long would
Mhm,
you normally try to hold it, especially for a beginner to increase that, like, that
mhm.
range?
What I do with stretching, one thing that's really crucial is breathing. I remember even I had one client last year that was having a difficult time stretching, and I realized that this person was actually holding their breath when they were stretching. So,
Mm.
yeah, breathing actually helps. So, for example, if I'm doing a hamstring stretch and I'm in that position, let's just say I'm not very flexible and I'm maybe like up here in that position, you inhale, and as you exhale, you breathe into the stretch. You slowly press into it. And I like to hold it, well, maybe it's a dancer thing, but I tend to count in my head like in eights, like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I inhale and then press further. That's something I do, and I find that helps me a lot with stretching. Because a lot of people in my classes will kind of like compete, look at who's further down on the stretch, and they're worried about going straight into it, and then they'll get injured. So I'm just like, focus on yourself. So talking about like I can't even tell you how long to hold it for. It's a matter of just breathing slowly into the stretch, taking it easy. I think that's more important, the breathing aspect of it, I would say.
Oh, that's interesting, actually. So it's more like, I kind of like that makes a lot of sense. So it's like making sure that you're easing it
Yeah.
at the right pace for your body and not just like going right in there and
Yeah.
messing yourself up essentially. Okay, and then I guess the length of time is kind of dependent on each person. I guess it's kind of
Right.
a okay, and that makes a lot of sense. And then
Also,
so how did? What were you
right.
gonna
Also, I was gonna say, it also depends on how flexible you are. Like, you could be very flexible in your hips, but maybe not in your hamstrings. So it all depends on the level of flexibility in each area as well. At the
makes
end of,
sense.
sorry,
So
was that
how does strength training incorporate into that all that now?
strength training and stuff?
Yeah. Like how do you incorporate that piece with all of the other things that you're doing?
Um, how do I say this? I find the more flexible I got, the easier it was to not necessarily build like pack on muscle, but like to have a stronger core and stronger, stronger legs, stronger arms. The more flexible I was, the easier an exercise became, the more control I had. Because I'm all about toning as opposed to building up heavy, heavy muscle. I
Mm.
like easing it on bit by bit. So like one week I'm lifting 10 pounds, and then next week I add 2 pounds on and so forth. So the same thing with like stretching. I think it applies to building up muscle as well, taking it easy. I'm more so like if I'm doing like reps of shoulder presses, slowly working the muscle and slowly working each muscle. And then you'll notice each week that goes by, the muscle, like it gets easier and easier. I'll lift 10 pounds and I'm like, oh, this is easy. I can do this all day. You're slowly increasing each week, just like so with stretching, slowly easing into it. I guess,
Ah,
yeah, that's
oh,
how
I
I
got
feel
it.
like.
It's that progression, basically.
Yeah,
That's what you it means. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So,
exactly.
okay, a lot of people make these. They come in, they think they know everything, but then they like. For myself personally, I always learn something new. Some big myths or misconceptions that people have when it comes to fitness that you keep coming across that you'd like people to know.
Oh boy, there's a lot.
I know everyone says that. There's too many, but I would say you're top.
It's not okay. One that just drives me nuts is and I'm not targeting women, but it's like I do get a lot of women in a lot of my classes, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I want," because they look, I guess they look up to me and my body as motivation for themselves. Some of them are a little unrealistic about that because everyone's different. Like even if you do the same workout I do, you may not look like me. It's not about looking like each other. It's about focusing on you. So one myth that drives me nuts is this whole thing that, oh, if I lift weights, I'm gonna look like a guy or get crazy big bulky muscle. I don't know what it is with women with that. Like I'm like you have to have muscle. You realize that. Like, oh, I want to be fit, but I don't want any muscle. And I look at them like like that doesn't make any sense. You have to put muscle in. I have muscle. I'm this toned because I work my muscles. That's probably my top one. I can't stand it. Oh,
It's a common one, actually, to be honest.
Yeah,
I've heard that from a lot of people. It's like, if I pick up this one weight, I'm just going to become jacked. And it's like, no, it's not that
right?
easy. You're not going to get that big. It's a lot harder than it looks.
Seriously.
You know, I have a friend of mine because, like, I know you're more of a toned body type. Actually, I should
Mhm.
ask you this question. Um, for someone like myself, though, who is trying to tone and lower my body fat percentage, because I was already big and I'm trying to shrink down a little bit more.
Okay.
What would you say I should be really doing in terms of my nutrition as well as my exercise routine that would really help me to kind of slim down a lot better?
It's a good question, actually. I get asked a lot. So, in terms of your routine, for someone that's trying to rather slim down before bulking up, I always suggest that you do a lot of cardio. You incorporate a lot, like a heavy amount of cardio into your workout, and then lift heavier weights than average because you're tightening the muscle, trying to get it tighter, trying to slim down, right? And cardio works the body overall and reducing fat, reducing any of that. So you need the combination of the two. Because some people think that, okay, I'm just going to lift heavy weights and I'll just turn fat into muscle, not realizing they have to tone and make it leaner, slim it down. So, like me, traditionally, I do cardio every single day. And with muscle areas, I kind of like transition and switch it up. So, like, I'll have leg day, except the only muscle area that I don't mind doing every single day is the core, just because, like, I believe, like, the core, like, that's your focal point. That's the main point. It needs to be strong. But for arms and legs, I try to like switch it up so that I have days of rest in between. So
Mhm.
that's what I would say in terms of your routine. In terms of like your meal plan, your nutrition, slimming down. So focusing more on eating more like greens and vegetables and stuff, not packing on too much meat. I find when people want to bulk up, then they're focused more on getting more proteins, which
Mhm.
makes sense. You're building up the body. But if you're trying to slim down first, more so going more into like, not saying you have to go be vegan or vegetarian. I'm not preaching that. I'm just saying like trying to have more balance in your diet, not too much protein. Kind of have like you know a balance of all four food groups altogether. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So then, in terms of building, like I'm sorry, something I was going to ask you was that when you were talking about the routine, like let's say I was lifting weights and I was slimming down, are you increasing your rep range? Are you for when you're in your toning phase? Or are you increasing it? Or what does that look like?
Oh, okay. So with toning, I find lighter weights, still a decent amount of weight. So lighter weights, but more reps because you're more so controlling the muscle and toning it down. And then you'll see progression in your body. You'll notice that you're slowing down. And at that point, you can more so add more weights and less reps. So now you're trying to build up the muscle more. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, it
then
makes sense.
pushing into that. Yeah.
And then you just bring it in from that point. Do you
Mm-hmm.
do that? Like I hear people talking about periodization and stuff like that. Is there like I guess you just wait. Do you wait till you just hit the target that you want to hit body wise, and that's when you start changing that up, or do you say, okay, this for this 2 weeks I'm going to do 15 reps. After I hit these 2 weeks, I'm going to do this, or is it just like which way do you kind of attack it from that angle?
Um, it depends on the person. For me personally, sometimes I'll get to my target like range of like what I want to weigh or like how my body's looking in terms of muscle, and then I'll switch it up. But sometimes it also depends on like if you're doing a certain set of weights and you're like this is too easy now,
Hmm.
and you might switch it up earlier or later. So it really depends. But either way, it does work as long as you are fully transitioning, like not going straight to just lifting heavy weights. You have to like kind of ease into it. Yeah.
Makes sense. Oh,
Mhm.
that's awesome, Kayla, man. You gave me so much great information. I'm feeling like there's so much stuff that I hope everyone got out of this.
Oh,
I
I
did.
think so.
I'm going to hit you with one of my last questions,
Okay.
which is um, if you could leave the world with anything from a health perspective, like you're leaving the planet, traveling off, and you could leave the world with one thing fitness wise, what would that one thing that you leave the world with?
Oh boy. Uh, That's a hard question.
Always the
um,
good stuff.
Let me just think about that for a second. I have to go back to what I said earlier because this is something I can constantly preach in my classes is that do not look at exercise as a chore. Have fun with it. Physical activity, active living, exercising, it should be natural. It should feel natural. It should be fun. It should not be something that you feel like you have to force yourself to do. The second you have fun with it, I feel like it makes your life so much easier. And then working out is like a breeze. It's just I feel like people are always battling with that, like stressing over what diets go on, or like maybe we should try this kind of workout, or it's not working, or I'm hitting a plateau, I gotta switch it up. Just have fun with it.
Fire. That was
Mhm.
awesome. Thank you so much, Kayla. Where can people find you?
Right now, I don't have a website going right now. I am on Instagram though. All of my everything about my life is on there. My handle is so Instagram.com, and then the handle is all lowercase K Ray J. So it's KayRayejayY.
Awesome.
I am working on getting a YouTube channel going. A lot of people have been bothering me to get my exercises on there, so I am working on that. And hopefully in the new year, when COVID is, gone and everything, I'm hoping to open up a studio, like a dance slash fitness studio, and just
Wow.
have my clientele come in there as well. Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Keep us informed, everybody. I'm telling you, you need to follow Kayla. She has some great stuff on there. I've seen some of her dances as well on that. You're going to really enjoy that. And, make sure you follow, really see what she's coming up with and start working with her. So, I really want to thank you so much for coming out today and really giving us this great information.
I think
And Hustle and Fit family, keep doing what you guys do.